Hello everyone, and welcome to this commentary video for the Pac-Man World 2 Repack Sonic DLC. First and foremost, this video is for my Ko-fi supporters and patrons. They're the ones that keep my channel going, so thank you very much. And then this video goes out to the public whenever later. There's usually never a set time, but whenever I feel like it. Either way, I enjoy doing commentary videos because I feel like for those of you that like to hear me yap a bit more, or like types of content that are a bit more campy, where I can kind of like properly pace myself, this is usually for you. This is for, you know, the people that like to really hear me, or if you want to just hear me in the background. I'm not offended by that. But this video in particular, I had a lot of fun with for multiple reasons. I had a lot of up and downs. The video making process was kind of like all out of whack, out of order. So putting this one together was actually a bit harder than normal, but when it started to, you know, click together, it was fun. But I'll get into that in a minute. But let's start with, well, the first thing you see in the video, which is the thumbnail. I commissioned this from my buddy, Super Hyper Red. His socials will be below. But I thought I'd break it down because I feel like I'm the type of person that takes thumbnails very seriously in my videos. I feel like it's got to be something that's striking, engaging, and looks good. You know, it's art, and you got to have a good artist that fits the theming for it. And I thought, you know, I feel like I have a lot of friends that are artists that I can reach out to. But whenever I get a thumbnail, I think about, okay, whose style would this fit? How will it go? Blah, 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 blah. And I thought, okay, Red's definitely the type of guy I can go to. You know, he draws very mean, good Pac-Man. He draws a really good Sonic also. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna reach out to him. And I'll put some of the, actually, no, I took some screenshots too, so I could like show the process of how, you know, thumbnails are made and stuff. You know, obviously I commission someone, they draw it, but I like to show a bit of the story that goes into it. But for me personally, you know, I was thinking about the video. I think it came to me one night. I was like, oh, I should make a video on the Sonic 2 DLC. And I was thinking, okay, well, first things first is thumbnail, because, you know, artwork takes a little while to be made. And whenever I make any video, I usually always try to commission the thumbnails at the very least 2 weeks ahead of time. That gives me enough buffer room to have things set up, just in case something goes wrong or the artist is busy. You know, I don't like rushing artists. I like everyone to take their time, because, you know, an artist that takes their time, you know, tends to make much better artwork. But either way, it starts with this over here. Oh wait, this might be in the downloads folder. Hold on, let me move this over here. Actually, I didn't move this over to the downloads folder yet. Let me grab all this, go to repack 2, and then, oh, it's gonna copy the files. I thought I was just gonna move it. Anyway, doesn't matter. So it starts with this right here. And can I zoom in on here? I think I can. So basically I DM Red and I'm like, hey, you know, I want a thumbnail like this for, you know, I envisioned Pac-Man basically doing this pose on, like, you know, some sort of whiteboard or whatever. But in the Sonic outfit, because, you know, in the Sonic DLC, Sonic gets to wear Pac-Man's outfit. And wait, do I have to close this again? Oh, I could have just done this. I think I can just scroll to go to the next image. Man, it's kind of zoomed out. It shouldn't look too bad though. But, you know, we go through with the idea, and I only took snippets of our conversation, but, you know, I give him the idea, and he's like, all right. He tells me how much he wants to be paid for it. He already has a set commission page and everything. And then after I pay him, you know, he works on the first sketch, which is really nice. I like this one here. I feel like not enough people see, like, the sketch process of thumbnails, you know? You always see the completed artwork, but I'm a very big art appreciator. So, like, if I'm gonna click and open this one in full, you know, bam, there's the sketch. Oops. All right, Windows, come on. Windows 11 stuff. There's the sketch. I feel like the drawing process is, like, the most underappreciated when it comes to videos, and I just want to show my appreciation by kind of you know, just talking about it for a bit also. I really enjoy right here, basically the sketch. You know, there's not too much I can say about it, but you know, I like all the layers that lead up to the final product. And then from the sketch, after that, you know, we get into the line art and stuff. I think he just went straight to the line art and the flat colors, which is right here, which, like, by the way, this looks really good for flat. But I always tend to commission like shaded artwork because I want the thumbnail to look as like complete as possible. And where else is it? Did I take a snippet of our conversation there? I might have not. But either way, you know, we get that part. And then the finished part of the thumbnail is, well, the actual completed part. And actually, I don't even know if I took a snippet of our conversation there, but long story short, you know, he sends me all of it, and then here's the here's the completed piece of Pac-Man, you know, with a little basic shading. And I freaking love it. Absolutely nice. Now, the funniest thing about this video at first was this was going to be the initial thumbnail. It was just gonna be, you know, Pac-Man standing in front of the board, you know, just being all skeptical because of, you know, Sonic, you know, just like, what are the lore implications of this? Of, you know, Sonic crossing over into Pac-Man's world, because you know how Sonic is, everything's canon, so, you know, this is gonna give the fandom plenty of things to eat for weeks upon weeks. But either way, this was the completed thumbnail, and I believe, let me see, I first messaged him November 15th, but then I think a few days later, I had like a bit of a revelation one night. I think I like had a dream and I wanted an update. So it was only a few days later. So we went from the 15th to the 19th. And I said, you're gonna hate me for this. I was like, I want to calm you again, but for an additional pick with Sonic in a Pac-Man suit. Because I remember when I first commissioned it and I was working on the video and I went to work one night, I was like, the thumbnail seems really good, but something was missing. And I'm like, duh, it's a Sonic and Pac-Man crossover. I need Sonic and Pac-Man in the thumbnail. So I kind of sketched out this little, you know, let me see if I can full screen this. But, you know, I just sketched out just a really crude drawing of, hey, like, could you draw Sonic and Pac-Man's outfit? And I think my dirty little sketches works okay. I think I did this on my, no, I did it on my PC. I was about to say, I think I did it on my phone. No, yeah, because I dragged it in A-Sprite and I just quickly drew like a basic Sonic on top. And yeah, the rest of the conversation, he was like, nah, I vibe with it. And I think I sent him like another 30 bucks for it. So this is kind of where I tell people where like the most expensive part of my videos is getting thumbnails. That's kind of like the main money sink. It's not a bad thing, you know, you get what you pay for. And what I got was quality, you know, that thousands of people are going to see. Not only that, it's also good advertising for Red, because, you know, more people can go to him. And honestly, the more business artists can get, the happier I will be, because that means they can keep going. And, you know, kind of like we can basically feed the cycle, you know. But either way, I think, yeah, so the initial thing was like 75. So yeah, 85, 95. In total, it was about like $105, I think. I may have tipped them. I can't remember. I tend to tip people. I'm not sure about this one. But long story short, yeah, the total cost for this completed thumbnail that we look at right here is about $105, if I'm gonna break it down like that. He also added, like, you know, a tiny bit more shading to Pac-Man, which is nice. I don't know if it's called counter shading or not, but I like it. It looks really good. He did a really nice job with Sonic, really nice job with Pac-Man. And the best off, he actually did a full body for Sonic. I did not expect him to do this, so a lot of people aren't going to see this in the video at all. I tried to find a place to stuff it in, but, you know, there wasn't a way to put it. But either way, yeah, he drew Sonic and Pac-Man's outfit complete, and I freaking love it. Just, like, look at how irritated bro is. But I'm glad he kept off my idea, you know, just him pointing at him like, get a load of this guy. But freaking love it. So, you know, bask and appreciate this artwork, because I freaking love it. Oh, and then, oh, obviously there's the sketch of it also. But I think that's what it says. Yeah. So more of the info for the commission start. Yeah, $30 for Sonic. He sends over the sketch. That's where it is, and I freaking love it. And that pretty much ends the thumbnail process. I think the next part of the thumbnail process was like putting it all together. Like I already showed them where I wanted it, but putting it all together like this wasn't a hard thing because I already knew what I wanted to look like. The next part was making the thumbnail look appealing. Now, I had a couple ideas. Now, whenever I finish a thumbnail for a video, I tend to ask my Ko-fi members in Discord, I'm like, hey, I'll give them like two or three options, like, what thumbnail do you think would look best for the video? And I try to always do 3 types of thumbnails. I try to do a clickbaity type of thumbnail. Then I try to do more of a, you know, honest, truthful type of thumbnail, and then maybe one that's a bit more plain or neutral. Because I know a lot of people don't like bait thumbnails or ones that are misleading, and I would never try to do that on purpose. But for the sake of this video, and also my viewership has been absolutely cheeks the last few months, I was like, hey, I need something that's a little, you know, little out there. So I think my first idea was, you know, the Sonic crossover DLC, and I just got my name back down here. Try to do a nice basic border and call it like it is, you know, the Sonic crossover DLC. It's honest, it's truthful, it's plain and to the point. The thing that scares me is that's the problem. A lot of people don't like seeing plain facts these days. You know, thumbnails gotta be eye-catchy, and I'm not gonna lie, borderline bait and almost rage baiting. I know that's not the case for everyone, but there's a lot of people that just won't watch a video unless the thumbnail is basically screaming at them to do so. I don't know, maybe I should start that new trend where I just put in the middle of the thumbnail in big red text, I promise you, this will be interesting. Because that's what it takes to be seen these days. But yeah, that's the first thumbnail I had. The second thumbnail was this one. This one leans a bit more on the bait side. You know, nothing too egregious, you know, not a bunch of red arrows and saying fake things, but I titled this one, He Simply Does It Better. You know, Pac-Man being in Sonic's level design. And I like that, you know, it kind of leaves a bit of an edge. And, you know, some people will watch it, they think, what do you mean he simply does it better? I try to like to have thumbnails that leave you wondering, you know, a question so you can watch the video instead of being bait, because nothing's worse than watching a video where you only want like one thought or a question answered and you like wasted 10 minutes to hear like the answer. This video is supposed to be, you know, a journey of all the things about, you know, this crossover. And then I think the third thumbnail, I don't know if I put it in here or not. That was used in a scene. Let me zoom back a bit. Oh yeah, and then this is just the basic neutral thumbnail with nothing, you know, no pizzazz, just the thumbnail. Because sometimes there's really good thumbnails out there that are just the artwork with no text on it. And I believe I let everyone vote, and I believe the this one won in a pretty close vote. There's like what, 25 members in total. Usually only a quarter of them vote, but I remember that one tended to do a lot better than the other ones, and I really like that one. But that should do it for the thumbnail, actually. But yeah, Red did a freaking fantastic job. I had a lot of fun with just kind of envisioning it and then him making it actually real. But now we can actually get into the actual video. I know we've been talking here for a hot minute. I gotta remind myself to add some like background music, because hearing me talk in total silence is kind of weird. But yeah, either way, also a new thing I've been trying to do in my previous video, which was the Namco oh come on, Tay, you literally just did the video, Namco Generations video. I have a trend now where I'm trying to make all my thumbnails lead into the video. I feel like it's a really cool smooth transition. So it's like when you click on the video, you know, you see the thumbnail transition into the video. Now, I'm not gonna lie, for this video, I'm pretty sure I spent a few hours thinking of how to transition this into the video, because I didn't know how to go from thumbnail into main topic. And then I thought of a couple ideas. Oh, what if I kind of crash in, and then, you know, the video transitions from there. And that's what we're about to see here now. Actually, let me see if I can get it going. Oh boy. So I'm playing this back in DaVinci Resolve, which is really good, by the way. Don't trash on Resolve. But I am playing this Let me play this at quarter resolution, actually. Because this way you can see my entire timeline. I can show you any cool edits I've done or the work of what goes into a video, which is a lot, mind you. Because my first idea was to like open up VLC and then talk over that, but I was like, nah, this is a lot better doing it in editor. Yeah, the intro's kind of laggy on here. It's not laggy in the actual video. You know what? Maybe I should have opened up VLC. Oh, well. All right, I guess maybe I should open up VLC. Come on, dude. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Put this over here. There we go. So I'm going to play it in VLC for a little bit, at least for the laggy bits. But I just want to show off the intro because I think that has the most editing. So we're going to get this out of the way now. Yes! Oh, gotta hit my mic. So that intro part of the video where you hear me going, yes, and then you hear like something clank and fall around. So that wasn't staged at all. I initially planned to just have a sound of me going, yeah, so like I stand in the back of my room and then I run towards my microphone saying, yeah, so you know, you hear me kind of like flying in. Actually, if I hit back, you can hear it. Yeah! So that's it. But then afterwards, you hear that crashing sound. So when you hear the clink sound and the oomph, that was actually unscripted. I had a plate on my desk with a fork on it because I was eating some pasta. I know you're really not supposed to eat food right near your computer, but like I had already finished the food. It was an empty plate. But when I ran towards my desk, I kind of tripped a bit and my arm fell in the plate and I fell into my microphone. So in a way, the mistake kind of like made this feel a bit more real, which was very funny. But I just kind of kept going with it. Gotta hit my mic. Pac-Man and Sonic are finally together. I am freaking excited, but we're gonna try to take it slow. Either way, let's talk about the intro. All right, and as you may notice already, the Fox PNGs are back. I've used these in previous videos. I think the Fox PNGs debuted in that one video I made where I was parodying Sonic YouTubers. But the thing was that they have a certain charm to it where I was like, you know what, let me keep using them. Actually, you're gonna quickly notice in this video that due to my freaking ADHD, I cannot stay with one particular style. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't clash too much, but you're about to find out very soon. But either way, yeah, we finished that and we transitioned into the main video. So after we watch this bit, I gotta explain a few things about this. Okay, so why is he just ominously looking over where Pac-Man lives? And then Sonic's like, man, I came at a really bad time. Oh well, your game, your problem. Yeah! And then Pac-Man comes over like,
well, my birthday was 6 months ago, but better late than never.
He doesn't even say hi to Pac-Man, just kind of whizzes by. He just runs back to the room. It's like, yeah, mission complete. First, so that intro was so fun to do. I believe when I like first saw it, I kind of like chuckled to myself because like, you know, the beginning cutscene of the game was kind of funny, you know. Sonic just runs through, he leaves some gifts and presents, does a thumbs up and runs out. You know, yo, it's Sonic the Wind, the myth, the legend everyone loves to talk about. But so what's the best way I can put it? Every time I make a video, I like to try to do something slightly new or slightly different. I really try not to stick with the same format too much, or I like to use a new medium for making videos. And one thing I wanted to do for this video was make skits in VR chat. And that's what this is here. Oh man, actually I gotta stretch a bit. But yeah, this video I wanted to make skits in VR chat. And I'm glad I did. It was a really great decision. I actually wasn't gonna have, as you'll see throughout the video, I wasn't actually going to have any of these skits in the video at all to begin with. The video was actually going to be played very straight. This video was supposed to be, and I say this with like a majority of the stuff I put out. Oh, this was supposed to be a short side video that was only going to be like, oh, around what, 8 minutes long. And you know, I say lying to myself as usual. But I remember when I did the initial script for this video, I was like, you know, I just talk about the level design and the bosses and yada yada. I'm like, this is kind of plain. Like, if I just talk strictly about the gameplay and I don't have anything else in there to kind of break up the monotony, especially because I feel like listening to the same person over and over can get a little boring. I was like, I need something to break it up, and then that's when I had the bright idea of, ooh, I'll do some skits in VR chat. And we'll get into more of this later, but this VR world was made by my friend Moxxie, aka Miles Games. She's done a ton of fantastic stuff. I'm pretty sure you're going to know her for her love of Bubble Bobble and the creation of Team Sleigh Bells in Charlotte. But either way, she made this, you know, Pac-Man World 2 Repack World. It's private at the time of this video, but she let me in to do filming for this. And this is where I got to use the Sonic avatar and basically just kind of run around and go crazy to record the bits I needed. And I'll explain more as we go on. But I will say though is that this scene is actually mirrored. When I initially recorded this scene, now technically Sonic's on the left side, but I had to flip it again because the actual cutscene, as we'll see here, lives. Sonic appears on the right side
and
of
the
then
screen.
Sonic's like,
man, I came at a really bad time.
Yeah, so...
Oh well, your game, your problem.
Oh, actually, I clipped it out. But either way, during the actual cutscene earlier, let me see if I go back.
The intro.
Right
okay.
about
so why is...
right here. So Sonic's on the right side of the screen as it pans in, and I wanted to stand in this exact same spot. So you can kind of see that, I think, with like the yellow house there.
Just ominous.
But yeah, I'm standing in the same spot. But for some reason, I was standing in the right spot, but like on the opposite side of the yellow building. So I had to mirror the clip to make it look right. And you can, if you look closely, you'll notice. Oh yeah, the clip is mirrored, but I don't know. At first glance, you won't notice at all.
Honestly, looking over where
I spy with my little eye a blue dog.
I keep forgetting you're there. I keep forgetting your Eggman. I love your sweater. I'd wear it if I have a torso. Sand!
Your ass cheeks are in my camera.
That's a blessing in my opinion.
Him, you love Super Monkey Ball? Dude, I knew I liked you, man.
Also, a little bit of fun text tracking over here. You know, and it just kind of adds some visual flair. I don't know if people care much for like visual captions in videos, but I think it's a nice amount of flair that helps people see what's going on. Or you can add it like kind of like extra commentary, little inside jokes for people that are actually watching the video.
Pac-Man lives, and then Sonic's like,
I look like a Jack's Pacific toy, Sega Y. Honestly, I'm not being super I'm not here to be a super criticizer for like Sonic's model and stuff, but I do remember people were like absolutely people were tearing into Sonic for how he looked. Now it's like you gotta remember a few things. Like, this is a lower poly model, you know, you can even see it like, you know, around here it's all lower poly. But again, people are like, I hate this model because we've had this one forever. And yes, the current modern Sonic model we have is very old. I do think it needs to be updated. But at the same time, I'm like, this is a crossover DLC with Pac-Man. And they took a Sonic model and put it in a Pac-Man game. And let's be real, Pac-Man's World doesn't really have the highest poly count, at least to my knowledge. So, at the very least, I think people were expecting Sonic to be styled like he would be in Pac-Man's World. But let's be real, if Sonic was going to be styled like a Pac-Man character, I think he should have been his classic counterpart. I'm actually really surprised that Sega said use modern Sonic for the crossover. Then again, because it's like, there's in the promo artwork, Pac-Man has interacted with both classic and modern Sonic. So it's not like it's an insane concept for, you know, Pac-Man to meet Sonic during a different time in his life, but whatever, I'm getting too far into it.
And I came at a really bad time. Oh well, your game, your problem. Yeah! And then Pac-Man comes over.
And then I think, yeah, this part was all recorded in game, so I think I had to boot up a new file because I'd already like collected the Sonic stuff. So I booted up like a new file, like what, file 3 or something, and stitched all this together.
Like,
Well, my birthday was 6 months ago, but better late than never.
Yeah, Pac-Man's birthday was May 22nd, and then the Sonic DLC was released on November 11th. I do think that's kind of funny because that is a pretty significant gap for you to go, oh, you know, this is dedicated DLC for the game and whatever. Go back here, there we go.
he doesn't even say hi to Pac-Man, just kind of whizzes by. He just runs back to the room and it's like, yeah, mission complete.
I like this bit right here. I really like this bit. Of course, this is one of those like quick 2-second gags that I spent a lot longer editing than I should have, that most people will not even care or notice, unfortunately. But yeah,
First,
this part right here. Let me see if I can go back like just a teensy bit. Yeah, here we go.
Like, yeah, mission complete.
So yeah, you know, it's like there's nothing in his hand, but like if we were to like advance by like, well, I can't do any frame advance. I probably can, but I'm not gonna bother looking for the keyboard control for VLC. But yeah, you can actually see a small editing arrow of Sonic's ear already here. So what I had to do was that I took double the clips. Actually, wait a second. What am I talking about? I literally have the editor open right here. I could just show you how I did it. So if I jump ahead over, I think I marked it. Here it is. So let's zoom in on the timeline, right? Yeah, this is the clip. Man, this part lags the timeline because I have so much on here, but I like it so much. Because, you know, I probably should show people how I make some of these edits, because I know some people want to know, oh, Tay, how do you edit certain things? But literally for this literal 2-second gag, it took forever to make. But yeah. So I start by splitting up the clip into like 3 or 4 separate instances, actually. So let me turn on this. So it's comprised of 2 layers. It's comprised of 2 layers. So what I had to do was that I had to go, actually I think I had to go into Fusion for this. Hold on, let me go to Fusion. Oh boy. Yep, I did some basic work in the Fusion page. Let me go here, right click, open in Fusion page. There it is. So what I had to do is I had to separate Sonic from the background to put that explosion back there. Well, in order to do so, we have to separate him. Well, there's a tool in here you can use called Magic Mask. So you have your medium one, this is your input, like the actual footage we see. Then you have Magic Mask, which goes in the middle. And you basically like click on the points of Sonic. And it's a really nice tool because it's better than having to manually frame by frame crop out Sonic from the background. And it's pretty smart for what it does. I only had to like tweak it a little bit. But yeah, after you have it selecting Sonic's point, and that's what this little tool is here for, I can click on certain points. You play forward on the timeline, and what it does is that every frame it crops out the background. Again, it's like magic. It's really good. It does take a while, depending on how long the scene is, but for like a scene that was like 2 seconds long, I think it took about 2 minutes to do it or something. It wasn't too terribly long. But now that we have that background, then I could take the original background, which is here, and then I could put the explosion effect, if I click through the right here. And then this adjustment clip, this one contains, let's see, what effect is on here? This contains the camera shake effect. So, you know, when the background shakes, when Sonic detonates that. So actually, if I drag it on the playhead, you can see it. Yeah, background shakes. But I just noticed for like a frame, Sonic's ear pops out because the camera shake kind of like, it shakes everything. But thankfully, it's not too noticeable. And it looks pretty clean, actually. Again, you know, if I were to full screen this looks pretty nice. You can see like the cropping was a little messy on some of these, but the scene happened so fast you barely even notice.
First, I want to.
Actually, you know, we could probably keep playing it in normal in here. So here we go. First, I want to mention that this video is only about the Sonic crossover DLC. I will not be covering the base game, nor will I talk about any spoilers for that. This is all self-contained. Personally, I think Pac-Man and Sonic have a lot in common. Both have notable classic and modern designs that heavily affect the main gameplay. And I was hoping that people wouldn't take what I said too seriously. I mean, I do stand by thinking that they do have a lot of similarities. Also, any gameplay you see in the video, I'm very stingy about how I get my footage and stuff. Any gameplay you see in my videos is from me and me only. I think it was in older videos I would use other people's footage, and, you know, I had to make sure to credit them and stuff, but I don't want to say I don't like crediting people to be stingy, but at the same time, it's like, if I can get my own footage, I probably should for the sake of a video, even if it's for like a 5-second clip. I'm gonna boot up the game and get some footage, and that's what I did, you know? I already had some gameplay saved of Pac-Man over here, and some gameplay of Sonic 1 when I was trying to do some speedrun attempts, and that's what I used. Both had their controversial dark eras, and both are known for having some of the most talented fans keeping the fandom alive. Even the companies themselves have made this evident over the years when Pac-Man got to be playable via Sonic Dash, and Sonic was playable via the Pac-Man mobile game. We got some merch collabs, plenty of promo videos with them being buddy-buddy, and now that finally brings us to today. So, what does the Sonic collab DLC contain? Well, from the
All right, that
Set
bit,
you get-
I like that. Again, so a story behind a really short bit that takes a lot longer than you think. Oh, I forgot I can go. I'm in Resolve, so I can go frame by frame if I wanted to. But like, yeah, let's go back. We're going back, boys. So this scene here, again, Moxxie, she was playing as Pac-Man. And I said, hey, Moxxie, I want to do a scene where, you know, Pac-Man opens up a door and he looks disappointed. I was like, you know, do you know that meme of the guy in the fridge? And I'll probably add this in post. You know, he opens up the fridge, rubbing his hands, and then he looks inside, there's like nothing good, and then he like kind of like looks away, and he's like, oh my god. And she instantly knew what I was talking about, and that's what we did. So, in the raw footage, it's just basically her at a door, and I told her like pretend opening it, and then basically doing that, and that's what this whole motion is for. Opening the door, rubbing her hands together, and then throwing up like, ah. Well, where a go. Oh man, that's still really good, honestly. So, you know,
From the outset, you get
Funny
2
little thing, I
costumes,
like it.
20 figurines to display, and 3 new stages, but in heavy quotes. I think it's also worth noting that the DLC on its own will set you back about $11. Now, on Sonic's side, we get Pac-Man as a playable character in Sonic Racing Crossworlds, complete with a unique car, track, and skins. However, what really piqued my interest was Sonic coming to Pac-Man's world. I mean, what kind of collab could we possibly get? Pac-Man running around in Sonic's world has a ton of possibilities, and honestly, I can't wait to see what Sega and Bamco cooked up with this one.
oh boy, the game. So, I threw in this reference just out of a whim because I was like, you know what? Well, you know what'd be funny? I don't know, funny. I'm gonna be honest though, I did need a reason to justify some of the skits I added in here, because I felt like if I was just talking too many facts, like, oh, this and this and this and this, and nothing was happening, I don't want to be that kind of guy that's like, oh, gotta keep up viewer retention by jingling keys in your face. But at the same time, I do think little funny bits that contribute to the video do help people stay a bit more engaged. I think my buddy Bravo or someone else was like, oh, you're doing Family Guy cutaway gags. I was like, no, these are not cutaway gags. These aren't cutaway gags. These aren't bits. They're skits that add to the video. Funnily enough, I'd probably say this is the only bit in the video that I'm about to show you that actually has cutaway gag energy, but the rest of them actually add to the video where it's relevant to what I'm talking about. This was more of a little side funny thing I thought about that you're like, hey, let's just throw this in.
And now, after playing the DLC in full, I really wanted to make a video covering my thoughts, and overanalyzing everything that's to offer. Some good, some bad, and quite a few questions. Alright, so going back to the intro, it was fun, but left me wanting a little bit more? I mean, I do hate to sound entitled, but
This is what I was talking about earlier. See, Pac-Man has interacted with classic and modern Sonic. You know, the right picture, you see classic Sonic. Then again, some people tend to draw modern Sonic looking like classic Sonic. I know Sonic's supposed to be Sonic, but people that are Sonic fans will understand what I mean when, like, there's the different versions of him. You know, you got the one in the top left that has his more modern design, and then the bottom left one where he's a little bit shorter and pudgier.
years we've seen Pac-Man and Sonic celebrate and run side by side in promo videos, artwork, and all sorts of media, that I feel a more personal interaction could have fit the situation. Now, I'm no director, but if I was in charge, I'd make a few little tweaks.
Again, here's one of my favorite bits we did in VR chat. And I guess I should probably say, to start, that, so I think this bit we did first, actually I'll talk about it when we get to it later, but let's just watch the skit. Yo, Pac-Man, what's up? Hey, dab me up, bro. You're the real one. I'll see you later.
Anyway,
So that little bit there, I don't know if anyone's noticed because, again, not many people notice these days, but I had a lot of fun with this part of the video because, what is it? I have a funny appreciation for freaking impact frames. I see a lot of memes on Twitter like, oh, this would be so much funnier with impact frames. And I was like, you know what? It would. So I thought when we do the little dab up, why not add impact frames? And I don't know if anyone see it. I kind of hid stuff in there, but I'll show you again. Dab me up, bro. So let me go back a few frames. So here's the first one. Lamau UK. Also, yeah, there's the all I did for the impact frames was like I think I took screenshots and in A Sprite and I just drew over them. So there's the first one. There's the second impact frame. Let me go back. Pac-Man saying you need a new model, bro, and Sonic looking very unhappy with them. Again, most people ain't gonna see this, but I freaking love sneaking these things in. And then I think there's one more. Let's see. Bam. Oh yeah, alternating between both, and then Sonic saying, I see you. with that smile, looking at you, the viewer. Which is, I was hoping someone would catch this, but, no one has. But again, I put these in kind of for my own entertainment because I think it's funny. You're the real one. I'll see you later.
Anyway, after that, Pac-Man gains access to the Sonic outfit, the brand new Pac Sonic arcade machine, and the greatest gift of all, the Sonic figure. What a narcissist.
Behold, Pac-Man, a statue of me. Bask in its glory.
Oh, how thoughtful.
Some cool
So that part was fun to make. Because I think, yeah, we were still in the private instance. We had to do 2 recording sessions. But I think the first time I was doing the recording, Moxxie had a bunch of her friends in the world. And I asked one of them, hey, can you turn into a Sonic model and act like a statue, and like after I say this line, just kill over and die. And that's exactly what they did. I can't remember who was in that Sonic model. It might have been Andrews, maybe somebody else, but it was fun, and they did a very great job.
Glory.
Oh,
and the music playing the clip was not for me. That actually plays for the model when Sonic dies. Dab me up, bro. Let me try that again.
That was awesome.
You're the real one. I'll see you later. Actually, wait, my home's this way. Actually, wait. No, I'm kind of homeless, actually.
Just fucking cut that shit. Like,
Oh,
I don't want to talk about it.
sorry, buddy. We'll get it back. Anyway, I got adventures to go on. See ya.
We could fix. I don't know if you
Wait,
disabled.
what if I? Oh yeah, wait. I need a
avatars,
statue of
but
Sonic.
I
Yo,
might have
could
been
someone
there.
like dress up as Sonic and like stand on the pedestal over
I can
there?
be everyone else's avatars, but I called out. I fucking Frontier.
Hold on, let me see what I got.
Hold on, let me fix the camera.
You know what? Yeah, that works.
Hold on, wait. I have the perfect fucking.
I can't believe there's two of you.
Okay. I think the statue of Sonic should like go over here. Yeah.
Over there. Sorry, I forgot. And to this one.
Yeah.
Why are you dead?
Sick. Why not? You're okay. It can be normal pose.
Yeah, and then I'll just like pan down, and then I'll be like, can you like make yourself a little bigger?
Yeah.
You know, a little more statue sized.
How larger? Like this.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That works.
Yeah, that works. And I'll just like pan the camera down, and we'll both be looking, and I'll pat you on the back, and I'll be like, witness perfection. Something.
Hey,
Let me see. Let me like.
don't move.
Let me see. I gotta back up like IRL. I hope I don't.
I think it'll probably help if you like sit down or something.
There we go. That's a bit better.
Or you can open up your menu.
I am set there.
I know if you open up your menu, it usually stops the auto avatar rotation.
I mean. it
You know what?
kinda
Actually,
is.
better yet, just do the default dances. Do the default dances that come
I
with the
don't have the default dance.
No, not like the
I
default
only
dance.
have talk.
Well, you don't have like
I am
the, like,
talking,
you don't
I
have
am
like the
listening.
the
I don't
video
have
chat dance.
shit. I don't have shit. Harry. I could jump down and punch Pac-Man in the face. I don't know.
All right.
Is that
Let
what?
me. All right. Let's try to get this
Oh.
scene working. Oops. All right. Let me see. I got
Or I
the-
could just fucking
got my
die.
hand here, so you just like. Yes, standing, please. There we go. Let me like. Well, there you go, Pac-Man. Witness perfection. My gift to you.
How thoughtful.
Some cool details about this outfit I'd like to mention is that the rev roll is now replaced with the spin dash sound, and you get a blue trail that follows you around. Also, when you do a perfect butt bounce, you get this sorta tornado wind-like swirl around him that thematically fits Sonic's design. Now, while I do wish there was an alt where you could only wear Sonic shoes and didn't need the outfit, I will say this is super charming because of the details, the sound effects, and overall Pac-Man just looks sick in Sonic's fit. Wait, does this just imply that Sonic carries around outfits of himself? Now, with access to the arcade, we're able to enter the world of Sonic. Welcome to South Pac Island.
All right. I'm going to do the scene where I keel over and die right now. Ugh.
Hey, are you good?
No.
A reimagining of South
I like
Island,
that bit.
but now in the shape of Pac-Man. That's a pretty nice touch. Alright, so let's begin with Act 1, rolling around on the island.
So when I go into this level, rolling around the island, I think this gameplay clip I'm about to show is what made me want to do the review for the game, or at least the review for the DLC in the first place, because what was it? Yeah, I clipped this part actually in Discord because Discord has a clipping feature. So I clipped this part that you're about to see, and then after looking at that clip and finding it kind of funny, I was like, you know what? I probably should do a whole review, and that's kind of how, you know, this whole video was kind of born as a result. Wait, okay, I gotta do this and then I gotta leave. Rolling around on the island. Yeah, so I think I was supposed to head for work one night. I had overtime to work, and I was playing this, and there was a bunch of people in VC with me. I think it was like 5 or 6 people, but they were all watching me play the DLC. And I was like, guys, I don't have much time, but you know, at least let's quickly jump into a stage or two to see what, you know, what it's like. Oh my goodness. Yeah, like the text says. This was literally my blind reaction to playing this in front of everyone. You go into Green Hill Zone and Green Hill from Sonic Generations is blaring at you. It's so funny. Not in a bad way, but again, it's
it was just really funny because, you know, I wasn't expecting them to just literally rip the music from Sonic and put it in Pac-Man. So, I'm sorry for laughing, but this is literally Green Hill Zone from Sonic Generations. Alright, and well, there you can see me again. Also, good job, idiot. I don't know if you can see. There is a setting I can use. Actually, I can show you right here in Resolve right now. So, oh yeah, actually, I should say this now. My friend Marley Goat, she's the one who made these fantastic stills for me. They're super expressive and funny. I believe I wanted stills like these a while ago because, when she draws her characters, they have a really nice, rough, funny, cartoony look to them. And I was like, hey, if I'm gonna commission you for it, can you like draw it in like, you know, your more lax style? You don't have to make it look perfect. I kind of like the more scruffiness to it. And she agreed to it. I should also probably mention that I think Marley's like, what, 16? Maybe about to be 17? So I try to be very professional. Normally, I don't really commission minors for artwork, but Marley's been pretty chill, and I've seen a lot of her art online. And, you know, it's like, as long as you're fine with it, I'm fine with it. I keep things professional. But I do like to tell people, you know, because you got to give artists a chance and stuff. You know, I would have been thrilled if someone commissioned me when I was younger. But I was like, don't worry, I don't want this to count as like child labor or something by me making you draw all this stuff. But like, she cranked out like, what, freaking like 20 of the stills I needed, and I paid her for all of them. I you know, that's kind of the wonders of being free when you're younger and you don't have that many responsibilities. So that's kind of cool. So I look forward to working with her more when she gets older, and hopefully if she takes up like a professional art career or something, you know, I will be backing that completely. But again, yeah, these stills were made by her. Freaking fantastic job. But I made a mistake though, because all the stills she gave me have a pixelated look to them. Not like they're actually made to look like pixel art, but they have that kind of MS Paint-ish, for lack of a better term, Pizza Tower-esque look to them, where it's like, you know, you see the rough pixels in the lines. And I forgot to adjust the setting in Resolve to fix that. So you see how everything's all like blurred. See how all the pixels are blurred and stuff? It doesn't look that neat. Well, I should have done this in the beginning. What I should have done was click on the there's a setting you can apply that scales the pixels. So again, I should have clicked on the image. I believe you go to video, then you go to it's been a second, so I may have forgotten. Is it super scale? No, real time and scaling. Yeah, here you go. You go to retime and scale link, and then you go down to resize filter, and then you go to bilinear, and you click on that. And hopefully, if this is right, let me see. May not have done it right. Go to nearest. Oh wait, hold on. Playback resolution. Let me put it full. Or is it cubic? I'm looking stupid now, but give me a second. There it is. God, I feel like such an idiot. So you're supposed to go to resize filter and you scroll down and you go to nearest neighbor and you click that. And then you get to see all these beautiful crunchy pixels the way they're supposed to be. But, you know, if you need to do a quick side-by-side to see what it looks like, you know, on versus off, actually, I can just do this. I can duplicate the image and show you side-by-side what it looks like. So
Hold on a sec, I got you. Let me Control C here. I'll like Control V here. Put the clip on top. Go here. And then what I'll do is I'll drag that over here. And then I will turn off the filter. Hit P for full screen. So here we go. So this is the one that has the nearest neighbor filter applied, and this is the one that doesn't. And you can see it's a pretty day and night difference, you know, with how muddy the pixels are and how everything kind of blurs together and makes it a lot more low quality versus the one on the right, which has, you know, it's a lot more crisper. I forgot to do that for this video. So the unfortunate side effect is that all these stills look a little muddied. Maybe you won't notice at your, you know, at a glance, most people won't notice, but I notice and it irritates me extremely. So they should have all looked like this, but they all look like this one. So let me Control Z actually, and P, and then let me get rid of that extra one. So yeah, there's that. But let me get back to the video. Gens 2, oh my god. Sometimes I like to look at Sonic Team and think, wow, 65-year-old game company reuses assets the old-fashioned way. Again, like the text says, this joke only makes sense if you are chronically online. If you're the type of person that uses Twitter a lot, or I guess any other major social media website, you're bound to see this clip of a diner, of this like a clip from an article that's like, this 90-something-year-old diner still makes Coke the old-fashioned way. The joke behind that though is that like it's been posted so many times year after year. We're like, how, you know, they're like, how old is this diner actually? And I think it was confirmed like a few months ago that like the diner's actually celebrating its 100th anniversary. I know I'm over-explaining a stupid joke. Either way, it's just, I don't know, it just became a big internet meme and it was very funny. So, you know, people kind of use this in place for like anything these days where it's like, oh, you know, this blank whatever year old still does thing the old-fashioned way, and that's basically all I'm referencing to. I know it seems like I'm dogging on Sonic, but honestly, reuse assets are not a problem for me. As long as everything is creatively used, I can pretty much forgive it. Remember, as a Sonic fan, my top priority is to maintain the agenda, and I will be looking for both the good and the bad here. Oh shoot, that looks pretty tasty. What was I talking about again? I love that bit. What was I talking about again? Also, again, these stills were made by Marley. I got these commissioned a while ago because this was supposed to be for like a 3D room environment. So I was like, hey, can you do like the SRB2K thing where, you know, even though it's a 2D image, I rotate in like 3 dimensions with like, you know, a forward, side, back, and then the like diagonals, and that's, for some reason, I guess I just wanted something that would fit with me looking at the actual video, and I just used that. So it's like, you know, we're already like barely, what, 2 minutes into the video, and I already used like 3 different stills for my avatar already. What was I talking about again? Now, right off the bat, we get thrust into a linear boost segment that accurately shows off what most of Sonic's boost gameplay is like, and it helps add a bit of thrill into the mix. Sonic's a fast guy, and emulating in World 2 makes sense. However, the cartoony punch sounds crack me up when you defeat any badniks. I feel like a metallic clang sound would fit, but considering this is all built in the World 2 limitations, I'll let it slide. Now, after the ramp, Bro hits the iconic Sonic Adventure pose, and you're thrust into one of the first semi-open areas of the game. Now, this is where I knew the DLC was gonna be something special. For one thing, I really enjoy how they changed Pac-Man's hit points to be more in line with Sonic's. He takes 1 hit to die, but as long as you have rings, you're always safe. After encountering a few small fry badniks, you get this brief opportunity where you get to fly high above the stage. Now, this is where I gotta give them props for the level design. You can clearly see a balloon crate in the air with a platform above it, but you'll most likely miss on your first playthrough and take the bottom path, which leads to a section with the power pellet. By the way, collecting a power pellet while in the Sonic outfit will transform you into Supersonic Pac-Man. That was pretty cool. You know, the outfit actually changing based on eating a power pellet, that's a really good detail. I don't know how this affects power scaling, and I'm very scared, so we're not going to acknowledge this anymore. Now, if you look closely though, you'll notice all the ghosts are dressed as the Egg Robos from Sonic 3 and rocking their iconic laser guns too. Honestly, it's the details like this that I really like. But let's rewind. If you do manage to take the top path, you're treated to a nice little shortcut that skips a decent chunk of the obstacles.
Now, one thing I really prided myself I wanted to do for this video was have seamless transitions between each path I took. Again, I don't know if anyone will notice, but earlier in the clip, when Pac-Man runs in,
Fly high above
you know, like here, he flies up here.
Now, this is where I gotta
and
give
he lands on the balloon, right?
them
But
props for the
instead he
level
falls
design.
down.
You can clearly see
What I want to do, because this took forever, I had to... Basically, if you want to know, for this entire video, for each zone I played through each zone 3 times. One with different paths. So for instance, this one here, let's see, hold on. Don't act weird now. There we go. So if you see, for instance, this clip here, I called it Slow Act 1. I basically took the bottom path. But then for the next clip, I took like the top path. So that's why this one's called Fast Act 1.
obstacle.
So I
Don't know
it's
how
starting to
this-
skip a bit. But either way,
miss
you
on your
see
first
here,
play.
let's see.
Now, this is where I gotta
He goes
give
up
them
here,
props
he
for the
falls. Actually, let me change the quality to like low, the quarter. That way it can place a bit smoother. But yeah,
high
as
above
you
the
see,
stage.
he flies up.
Now, this is
He
where I
lands
gotta
on the
give them props for
balloon
the level
and falls,
design.
right?
You
But then things change here. If you notice, it rewinds.
top path, you're treated to a nice little shortcut
And I
that
have
skips a
tried
decent
to seamlessly connect to my second playthrough of the stage, where I do make it.
chunk of the
I don't
obstacle.
know. I thought it would look cool to like make things seamless, where it rewinds back to a certain point, and you keep going instead of like just doing a hard cut to the next segment.
And not even 5 seconds later is another cool branching path. Your ultimate goal in this section is to press the switch that lowers the bridge.
Actually, that's a bit too low quality. Let me go to playback. Resolution, put that on half. There we go.
And it's little platforming segments like this that emphasizes the fun of Pac-Man's platforming with Sonic's speed-focused stages. On the left is a fairly straightforward path which leads you up to the helipads. It's longer, but a safer path. And if you're feeling confident in your platforming skills, the path on the right leads to a small chain of enemies you can bounce off of to reach another.
Ugh, that part's skipping a lot. It doesn't skip in the actual video, but in the editor it does. Mostly because it's like rewind it like 1,000 speed or something. But yeah, you saw how Pac-Man ran all the way up there, and then instead of doing a cut back to here, I just quickly rewound the footage to him being in the same spot and then running in this direction.
Their top path. To make it even better, there's even a slightly hidden path off to the right, which leads you directly up there. I feel like this perfectly encapsulates what a classic Sonic 3D game could be like. Not in the same vein of 3D Blast, but maybe something akin to Sonic Jam. Once the bridge is lowered, you enter the next speed segment. Simple but pretty nice, testing your control and reaction speed. Take the high path, jump at the right time, and overall, I'm really enjoying the flow of this level. However, it's at this point the funniest thing happens. I don't know if Sonic is cursed or if it was a creative decision, but Pac-Man is forced into a 2D segment.
Oh, what is this wizardry? Why can't I move in the Z-axis? Oh,
That was a fun bit to do, because I was like, oh, there's a section where Pac-Man's like forced in a 2D segment, not counting like the maze top-down type of thing. And so we recorded this bit real quick. This is fun to do.
oh, what is this wizardry? Why can't I move in the Z-axis? I feel like I'm stuck between two planes of walls or something.
One more time. I messed up that last bit.
Okay, all right.
I don't know how he does it.
Now, that's not a bad thing, but I do find it funny how every single Pac-Man World game has no forced 2D segments. Now, if this was a normal boring level, I would end it there, but it's nice to see that they at least took a note from classic Sonic's design and present you with yet again a top and bottom path. Do some well-timed butt bounces off the Buzz Bombers and you'll be met with a faster path. If you take the bottom path,
Again,
you'll get...
I did the same thing here with the whole two paths converging. I feel bad being like, guys, please pay attention to this part. But it's like I was really proud of this
path.
So if I go back earlier here,
But I do find it
you
funny
see
how
Pac-Man doing
every
the butt
single
bounce,
Pac-Man
right? And he
World game
bounces
has
all the way
no
up
forced 2D segments.
to the top path.
Well-timed butt
But then watch in reverse. So the hard part was like connecting 2 playthroughs together, and it'll be most obvious. If you look, it's a smooth cut, but if you look at the scores, the lives, and the rings I'm holding, you'll see something's up. But like pay attention to here when Pac-Man goes backwards and then starts resuming forward to the next path. Bounces off the buzz bombers, and you'll be met with a faster path. If you take the bottom path, you'll get... See that? So there was like I think that was a pretty clean cut. I matched it to the exact same frame when I bounced up there on my second run through for the level. But the, you know, the lives and everything else changed. But most people won't notice that. That iconic S-tube from Green Hill, which launches you up into a ton of rings. Honestly, all these little choices seem really simple to a more advanced player, but what we're getting is the power of choice, and a little goes a long way into what makes a Sonic stage feel like, well, a Sonic stage. Now, after the loops and the giant ramp, it's probably hands down my favorite section of this level. You launch through a loop, which is not only a nice visual spectacle, but if we slow it down, you get a wide view of what's ahead. The bottom path is full of obstacles and basic platforming where you have to time your jumps with the dash rings and avoid some pits. It's a basic yet somewhat challenging sequence that I enjoy, especially if you're going for all the collectibles. However, if we rewind back to the start of that segment, you can see the devs set up an extra special path for skilled players that require a move that is never asked of you for the entire base game. You see, in order to take the top path here, you have to get up on this red balloon. I hope you liked how clean that edit was there. Like, again, not to toot my own horn, but like this edit, please guys. I really like this one. That require, but like, again, pay attention to this part here where, you know, Pac-Man runs backwards, and then as he goes through the loop, the most obvious change will be the speed run clock at the top. But again, just look at it. I really like doing this. A move that is never asked of you for the entire base game. You see, in order to take the top path here, you have to get up on this red balloon, then this yellow one. But you can't just do a regular butt bounce, otherwise you'll come up too short. It has to be the perfect variant that gives you extra height when timed just right. Incredible! Now, so that part was like another 2 playthroughs of the level I had to do, because if you miss that crate, you can't get it back, because once you hit the checkpoint, I believe it stays destroyed, and the only way to get it is to like do the entire level over again. So that's what I had to do. Doing this saves a ton of time, and I have to give props to the devs for having a shortcut like this that requires good platforming, skill, and timing, the things Sonic is known for. Now we're finally at the last section of the act and greeted once again with some more options. If you take the normal path straight and to the left, it's pretty straightforward. The only real hazard is a bunch of falling platforms and the buzz bombers, but it does make for a mild thrill to make your way to the top. But basic platforming is boring, so what else is here? Well, glancing at the right, if you want to put your platforming skill to the test, there are 2 buzz bombers you can bounce off of, leading to a path that skips a significant chunk of the falling platforms. However, my final bit of praise in this act has to go to this well thought out and very tight shortcut on the left. You have to do 2 super bounces in a row, one past the buzz bomber, and another off a falling platform that you'll most likely only get 1 chance to nail. This trick over here actually is legitimately pretty difficult to pull off, like when you're going for the speed run and stuff. And I remember seeing some stuff on Twitter when some people saw the gameplay of Pac-Man running, and they were like, oh, why is he so slow? Is he like that the whole thing? And it's like, yes, Pac-Man's not supposed to be as fast as Sonic, but it's about the platforming elements. Pac-Man's a platforming guy. Well, 3D Pac-Man's a platforming guy. You get the point. And the thrill feels really good. After that, it's just a mad dash to the end, and the act is over. So what do I think of Act 1 as a whole? Personally, this feels right at home with what could potentially be the basis for a classic Sonic game in 3D, albeit if Pac-Man was a little bit faster. While the reuse of Generations assets are a little weird, I can forgive it since, let's be real, this is a fairly simple collab. That honestly would have been cool to see like Green Hill Zone, but like in the Pac-Man World style. Like maybe if Bamco like cooked up some original assets for it. But I'm pretty sure, you know, the likely case is Sega just handed over, you know. But I didn't look. I meant to look into the credits to see who did the level design. Maybe I'll look into that later if I feel like it. But I'm interested in seeing, you know, who did what. Did, you know, did the Sega side make the levels
and give them over to Namco, or did Namco get the assets and they made the levels? Because still, you know, for a level to be the first level to be this good, it requires them to have a very good understanding of how, well, you know, both games work. Aside, I really like the flow of this level. I'm sure you'll hear lots of YouTubers bring up flow in Sonic games, and I like to believe Pac-Man is the originator of that. Non-stop action and the ability to overcome obstacles with your quick wits and skills is essential to what makes Pac-Man a fun game. And as Pac-Man has gotten faster over the years, I feel the Sonic Pac-Man connection is really strong. Now, if there's one thing I almost forgot to mention, it's the addition of the red star rings, which replace the fruits in this game so far. Some of them are mostly relegated to the top or faster paths, but some of them require a little bit of searching. And one final thing I almost forgot to mention was the addition of the time trials. Now, this kind of flips the level design on its head completely. If you're playing this level casually, you're just kind of exploring and running through having fun. However, when you're going for time trials and trying to get gold, I am not kidding you, the developers must have been on some sort of crack because it is insanely hard to get the gold for this stage. Not only do you have to practically break every box and crate, you have to find the most optimal way to get through the level, which makes sense for a Sonic game. So you'll end up taking little routes that you never thought you would take initially. This also requires the use of all the tricks earlier I was talking about, requiring the use of all the top paths, and even going back for a few boxes, just to ensure you have enough timers to lower your overall time. Overall, I'd have to give Green Hill Act 1 a 9 out of 10 in terms of quality and presentation. It sets out to be a well-designed level with plenty of speed sections, platforming challenges, and fun little shortcuts to improve your overall time. Actually, looking back at that, I don't even think I beat my best time yet. 1 a 9 out of 10 in terms of quality and presentation. But yeah, the gold time for this stage was so hard. Even I think even when I finished the video, challenges, I never got it yet. Shortcuts to improve your overall time. I still got to go back to do some like cleanup for Pac-Man World 2 repack, because at the time of when I was in the middle of the recording the video, I didn't even beat repack 2 yet. I was like only halfway through the game, but I played the Sonic DLC first, and I really wanted to make a video. But I think like by the time I was near the end of the video, I had finished repack 2, including getting to the post game. And that's when I had like a better grasp on everything. Next up is Act 2, and right from the get-go, you're gonna be hit with the best, and only, new remix in the game. It's a Sonic-fied version of the Pac-Man World 2 theme, which in my opinion should have been used in Act 1, but I'll forgive it because of how good it is. This level does not hold back on the shortcuts, and little skips, because not even 5 seconds in, you're met with a ring to— I really like this bit. So yeah, me and Moxxie were again in the Pac-Man world. And then, you know, there's that big central TV, and I just thought, you know, what if I keyed out the TV and I put the footage in and we are reacted to a specific segment, which is this one where, you know, Pac-Man dies. Skip the rail segment if you can time your jumps well enough. What?
Dude, how do you live like this?
Wow, this is a Sonic game. Reset the anchor, close that. All right, last one to the arcades, a rotten egg. Haha, feels great to be the fastest thing alive, baby.
Joke's on you, I'm already in the arcade.
You know what? Oh, curse you in your witty, funny remarks.
What kind of sound is that?
Oh my god.
What's he doing?
I don't even know what that one was. I just drank a whole bottle of tea, so I have like a lot of energy.
Okay.
You look like Scooby-Doo.
You look ridiculous.
You look ridiculous.
Okay, so this one was for when Pac-Man falls off the rail, and then he slowly turns to Sonic, and basically says, like, well, you got it.
Yeah.
Alright, and go.
Dude, how do you live like this?
Well, you see, our games are in a bit of a rush.
Explains why you're always going so fast.
Ugh, good to have 2 angles just in case. And get my... Alright, it's up to you.
Dude,
How do you live like this?
All right, I think that was pretty good.
No. Here's the reason why this surprises me. The collision is taken straight from the game, okay? The collision mesh is a separate mesh from the world mesh. So it's not like it's just like, like the model's like collision. That means they had to have manually added collision to each of these things onto the plant instead of just making it a decoration. That is insane.
Then immediately at the checkpoint, you're greeted with options. You can play it safe and go for the bottom path on the right side, or perform a perfect bounce and hit the dash ring to access the top path. Then right after that is even more choices. Take the easy.
I think this was the point in the video where I realized we're trying to smoothly rewind and fast forward every single clip into each other to look seamless. Like the first act was a little insane because Act 2 had a lot more branching paths in the beginning. So this is where I end up doing more like basic hard cuts from clip to clip. I still did like 3 playthroughs of every stage to get, speedrun footage, casual footage and stuff. But yeah, by the time I got to Act 2, when I was editing, I was like, this is gonna take too long. So I started doing some more slightly basic edits.
The main path forward or go off the beaten path and bounce up to the spring, which leads yet to another shortcut. Sure, the paths shortly merge.
That's another thing. I wanted
when going for the time trials, I wanted really does add it up. And if
to
you
not have
know
to cut through the footage as
here,
much.
I forgot.
Oh yeah, that's funny. And yeah, I meant so when you're playing Sonic, if you press the jump button to get in midair, you do kind of like a dash forward. And I meant to do that with Pac-Man because, I'm playing a Sonic and I forgot, Pac-Man doesn't have that. Instead, I do a butt bounce to my death.
I was playing Pac-Man for a second and attempted to do the air dash. If you play modern Sonic, you'll understand my pain. The next section is a bit linear with the platforms and boost segments, but it's a nice break from all the platforming. I do think to spice it up though, they could have added a few more obstacles. After the brief platforming segment, we get back to the rails, and this is where I have to admit, while I love rail grinding, it can become a bit too easy. So I'm thankful plenty of spikes were added to shake up things. Now, much like the beginning of the level, there's another ring to skip the rails, but if you really want to show off, you can jump the rails Adventure 2 style. If you have a good enough timing, you can stick the landing.
Yeah, this part of the level is honestly really fun. Like being able to jump from there to there, without like some stupid invisible wall or just, it not being possible, already raised the bar for me.
Now, this may seem like a minor thing to get excited about, but most Sonic games these days rarely let you jump off rails for fun skips like this, with the exception of Frontiers. Sometimes you're just locked into it, and seeing this kind of freedom is really refreshing. At the next checkpoint, we get launched off a ramp leading to some platforming and end up taking an extremely easy shortcut given to you for free as long as you're on the right side. It's at this point I'd have to say the stage is starting to feel a little too.
This bit of the level is cool right here. I already say in the video, but you get launched up kind of like in Act 1. And if you can skip all those platforms down there, it's just very easy to
linear.
But pop off ramp, that and keep the grind
you can do off a buzz bomber should you time your bounce again the right way. Then we get to probably my least favorite part of the level. You have to stand and slowly wait for the platforms to move.
Yeah, this is definitely my least favorite part.
Part of this can be remedied by the fact that you can physically jump on the poles of the spikes as a safety measure or shave off a few extra seconds. But I have to be honest, this section felt the most uninspired and sadly most modern Sonic in a way.
Yeah, to be honest, I was a little impatient with that segment, but even after replaying it quite a few times, it's just, hey, you're in the middle of the air on floating platforms with a bunch of, spikes floating around, and I'm like, really? Could we have not had like another segment? Even if they added like another enemy chain you could have bounced off of for like more experienced players would have been really nice.
Once you're past that is a fairly linear rail grind to the finish, with some obstacles. But what helped redeem this level was the ability to jump off the rail early and
that jump is really clean. This part was fun.
Skip a chunk.
Actually, I'm pretty sure if I redid this level and I were to try again, I'm pretty sure I could get a good jump and swing like right past this front rail. I might be able to land on that last one right about down there.
With a well-timed jump. Again, it's the little freedoms like this that make a huge impact. After that is a few rail hops, and then that's the end of Act 2. Overall, Act 2 had higher highs and lower lows when it came to level design and platforming. It started off really strong, giving the player tons of options, but then slowly trickled down into a fairly linear level and tons of platform spam. Yes, Act 1 had a lot of floating platforms too, but I feel it did a better job of making it blend in with the environment, considering you could actually spring to different chunks of land in the background. This one kinda gives me Sonic Frontiers vibes, and that's not an insult. While the level is put together fine, it's just a little too bland. The level is fun, but it's clear that not a lot of time went into it with like the first act, and that's a bit of a shame. Not a bad stage, but this one's gonna be a 6 out of 10 for my taste. And for those of you ruined by online scoring systems, remember my word is not law. It's just a personal preference. If 1 means terrible and 10 means perfect, then 5 means average. And despite its flaws, I would still consider this stage slightly above average.
Yeah, I called it slightly above average. I still think it's a pretty decent stage. I don't know if I was a little too harsh on it, because everyone expects different things from their level design and, you know, what a Sonic and Pac-Man crossover could be, but, you know, there's not a whole lot of standing around and waiting in Pac-Man's games. You know, at the very least, if you do have to stand around and wait, you usually have to hit a switch to get somewhere. But, yeah, still pretty good overall. So now it's time for the boss fight, and man, I cannot. So this part of the video is so funny. You're gonna notice, on a repeat watch, or if you're paying close attention, you're gonna notice my audio quality sounds much different here. And that's because I was using my microphone the wrong way. Turns out I have a microphone that needs to be like stood up vertically. I had it pointing towards my mouth. It should have been just like vertical up and down. And I should have been talking at it while it was pointing upwards. So the entire time I was using my microphone the wrong way, and yeah, everything was sounding all doggy doo-doo. And that's why in this half of the video, my audio sounds a lot cleaner because I tweaked a few settings and I learned how to use it properly. So that's just kind of funny. Live, this was actually really challenging, but a masterclass in good boss design with a few flaws. Phase 1 is Eggman and the Egg Wrecker, and what's considered a laughingstock for Sonic by now is actually a formidable obstacle when you can't move as fast as him. Right off the bat, you're gonna notice how you're suspended on a single platform while Eggman attacks you. Now, Eggman has 1 of 4 attacks, and learning these will be the key to staying alive. The most basic and annoying attack is him charging up a swing from overhead and slamming it into the ground. After he does it twice, he gets stuck and you're free to attack him. If you're fast with it, you can get 3 attacks in, which opens up the safety glass, and you can break his spine with a good butt bounce, taking out 1 chunk of health. This may sound tedious, so thankfully during his other attacks, there are plenty of ways to get some quick hits in, but I'll bring up why this is the worst attack later. The next will be him swinging it in a circle, and the best part is that if you do a super butt bounce, you can flip kick into it for some extra damage. This attack is probably the easiest to avoid, and I did not when looking for easy hits. But I do have a clip where I do. Dragging the wrecking ball across the arena, which is simple to avoid, but since the camera locks onto the boss's movement, your 3D movement might get mixed up, and your jump to the left or right might curve, letting you take damage. Again, if you can time a perfect butt bounce, you can also sneak in another hit in there. The 4th attack is a barrage of bombs falling from the sky, which is quite simple to avoid, but I do think the change in perspective is pretty cool. Now, after you do a chunk of damage, Eggman will follow up by removing a chunk of the stage, which is a simple but effective way to increase the difficulty. However, this forces me to bring up the most annoying thing his first attack does. Once he's under half health, he'll swing the wrecker 3 times instead of 2 before it gets stuck. You may think, well, it's no big deal, just run from it. But that's the tricky part, because his attack locks onto you with such insane precision that you'd swear he was cheating. The best way to avoid it is to simply rev roll out of the way. However, while that's easy to do in the start, by the time you're down to the last chunk of platform and see Eggman charging up another attack, there is practically no room to safely rev roll, or you risk flying off the edge like I did a dozen times. Yeah, that part. It's not the worst thing ever, but I do think it's a bit of an overkill for the first phase. Now, after you give Eggman a little brain trauma, you drop down and give chase to him in a speed section. So I had no idea this was phase 2 of the fight, but it was quite refreshing to have a change of pace. I really like chase down bosses. And this time, Eggman is attacking you Unleash style, either throwing crap in front of you or giving chase from behind. This phase is really funny because I'm so used to Sonic having the quick step in his games to move from side to side that I'm actually enjoying the challenge of having to position myself safely based on where he's throwing bombs, instead of doing the Subway Surfers type gameplay where you can quickly switch from lane to lane. No offense to modern Sonic, but I do like the additional input that makes
there's clearly 3 lanes here you
well,
can swap
a
to, but
challenge. Oh, and the bomb.
being able to,
occasionally he'll throw out a green
have the
one, which
freedom
can be
of
hit
moving
back.
was
And if your
very
spacing
nice.
and timing is on point, you can actually get 2 solid hits in per cycle. Sometimes he'll saw the ground right next to you or destroy chunks of ground ahead of you, making for a pretty good challenge. It's nothing earth-shattering for Sonic fans, but if you're being introduced to Sonic via Repack 2, I'd assume this has to be a pretty cool boss fight. After dealing the second to last blow, Pac-Man pulls a Knuckles and grabs onto the Eggmobile. Or you could say this is a World 3 reference. Either way, taking you into Phase 3, and that's the Death Egg Robot. Bro, you do not need to be doing all this for a middle-aged man. This guy has a family. This thing has quite a few attacks, and it's certainly no pushover. From punching the platform, sweeping you off with lasers, jumping onto chunks of the arena, and a full-on arm sweep, I have to admit I died more often to this boss than I'd like to admit. Funny thing though, while this may seem hard at first, it's actually deceptively simple once you learn to bait the arm out and then give it a few good kicks. Once the Death Egg is stunned, you can easily run up to the arm and then give the head a good butt bounce. Rinse and repeat 4 times, and that wraps up the Death Egg Robot. I still think Phase 1 is the hardest and 3 is the easiest, since you get a partial safety net at the bottom of the map if you fall. Also, I don't think you get attacked down there. If you do try to approach him though, he does stomp his feet to knock you back. It's also at this point where I wish they were able to use more than one boss theme in this DLC, instead of reusing the same Death Egg Robot or its pinch mode. It would have been cool to hear a remix of the boss theme from Sonic 1, and then it transitioned from Sonic 2 to maybe Sonic 3, or hey, maybe some of the boss themes from Unleashed. Maybe I'm asking for too much, but a man can dream. Now after you finally beat the Death Egg, you're treated to a cutscene where Sonic comes in at the last second, saves Pac-Man, and they both work together to deal the final blow to the Death Egg Robot. Overall, it's pretty short and sweet, but I really love the interaction seeing both my heroes work together, and in the end, I just love the collab.
Jeez, where were you? That claw almost squashed me in the
bit.
yellow paste.
All right, listen up, Piehead. This is all the money Sega could afford to let me even be in here. So why don't you get out of here before the budget runs out? All right, after I jump, then, you know, do your thing.
Jeez, where were you? That crane almost splat me in the...
You got it, go ahead. Try it again.
All right, I think this time I might get up.
All right. Hey, the budget's pretty bad around here, you know. How about we... Why can't I remember 2 freaking lines? I'm actually terrible. I could never be an actor.
It's okay.
I could never do this. This is all the Sega. This is all the action Sega could have. Why can't I speak? Why can't I speak? Why can't I speak? Okay. Let's see.
Jeez, where were you? That claw almost squashed me in the yellow paste. Awesome.
I went to hit the left controller for the emote, and it was deactivated. Oh my god, bro!
That was great.
I'm gonna have a meltdown.
I hope if the recording saves anything, it's that.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay. Let's see. Come on. Lock in, Tay. Lock in.
Jeez, where were you? That claw almost squashed me in the yellow paste.
Hey man, this is all the money Sega could afford for this kind of action. Let's get out of here before we get broke. Look man, this is all the money Sega could afford for like 5 minutes. Now will you hurry up before we're out of money to even finish this scene? That's not too bad. Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was a pretty good one.
Dude, will you shut your pie hole? We're almost out of money. Can you hurry up so we can get out of here? This is all the money Sega could afford.
Yeah, I think we had to redo that bit like 5 times or something. Oh my goodness. Also, I'm not sure if I said this earlier or not, but during the making of the video, me and Moxxie had already spent like an hour and a half recording, you know, bits for the video. And I think we spent from like 10 p.m. to like 1 a.m. working on it.
And then the unfortunate effect, the unfortunate thing, I found out that I made a mistake while recording that ruined it, and I lost all the footage. Apparently OBS got stuck, and I clicked the X on it, so it didn't save anything. It only saved like the first 10 seconds. So an hour and a half of recording, all gone. So we had to go back into VR chat and re-record all the bits we had done. Thankfully, we kind of knew what to do, so we made it faster, but it was a little stressful. I was very mad at myself, but thankfully Moxxie, she was nice enough to, you know, do some more shenanigans with me. But yeah, actually, you know, maybe I'll throw the extra clips in post. I'll show you the outtakes, but it was pretty funny. Overall, the boss fight with Eggman was very well done and puts a lot of other games like Mario and Sonic to shame. I'm not saying this is the best boss in all of gaming, but when it comes down to the 2D and 3D platform genre, there was a lot to love here. For example, in a lot of games, it's pretty common for a boss to expose its weak spot, and once you get hit, they fly away or have a ton of iframes. This means you can't do additional damage or follow up. So no matter what your skill level is, the fight feels pretty cut and dry as you wait for the one and only opening to attack. Pac-Man, on the other hand, has full access to attack bosses, I'd say a good 90% of the time. Sure, you can go the simple way and wait for an opening, or you could just bust it down with the exaggerated swagger of a middle-aged man and absolutely wallop Eggman in passing. It's all about risk versus reward, and I live for this kind of stuff. The second phase was a bit simpler, but I do feel the chase down boss serves as a good representation for modern Sonic's boss design, similar to the Egg Beetle. Nothing too noteworthy, but the change of pace makes for a good time. Phase 3 is somehow better than Sonic Generation's own boss, due to the fact you're not locked to a 2D plane. You can directly attack the Death Egg robot, and it actually feels fitting I mean that of a seriously. final boss. The fact that you can run around this entire arena in 3D space is really cool. You're not locked to a 2D segment. Which, I mean, adds a bit more depth to the bosses too. I mean, would I have liked it if they had locked it? Because I remember when I first played the boss, I remember falling off. Because you know, again, since it's all 3D space, I remember falling off to the side or something. But like, the freedom's really nice. It makes you think about, you know, when it comes to Pac-Man's games, you know, why do they let him move freely in 3D, even if the section he is could be reduced to an easy 2D segment. Again, no idea why Eggman is beefing with Pac-Man, but it's always cool to see heroes of another game fight villains of another game. Now that raises the question, how would Sonic handle retrieving the golden fruit from Spooky? Oh my god, this bit was so funny to do. I think we recorded it twice, and after I ran it through her, she thought it was funny. I still like this one.
Boy, was that Eggman a hassle. I wonder how Sonic's doing against Spooky. I think I was close to you on that one, so
All right.
I guess we can do the delay one now.
Sure, perfect. Let's do that then. Yeah, maniac! Maniac! That's pretty good. Yep. You could, I don't know, something on Plankton's voice, but I'll have, like, Spooky on top of it. Just, like...
Okay.
All right. You know, Spooky, you ain't that bad, actually.
You're not too bad yourself, Blue Hedgehog. Now to get my hands on that golden fruit.
You know, I am feeling pretty hungry right about now. If only I had a supersonic model, I'd take the fruit and be like, yo, Pac-Man, this stuff is lit! My god. Yeah, so that part of the video, I believe Moxxie, she was dressed up as Orson. And we didn't have a Spooky model to use, so what we did was, like, I had her go out of the Halloween store chasing me. But what I did is that in post, I just took a PNG of Spooky and tracked it on top of Orson. And that's how, you know, he's following me out the store. During the editing of this video, I finally beat Pac-Man World 2 Repack, and without spoilers, I can say that the Sonic DLC's difficulty is on par with the rest of the game. So I would recommend you don't play this until actually beating the base game first. So, my final verdict? The Sonic Collaboration DLC is good. It does a good job of fusing two gameplay styles together and showing off what modern Sonic is like for better or worse. There are creative shortcuts and skips that make the player feel rewarded for experimenting, and the final boss is a real test of skill. I wish I could blab on and on about how well Sonic and Pac-Man mesh together, but I gotta stop somewhere. So thank you all for watching, and remember, stay foxy, people. Wow, okay, Tay in post here. I was trying not to be too campy with this video, honestly. I think there was more stuff I wanted to say.
I just want to say,
But, you know.
thank you very much for watching.
So everything
Big
here is
thanks to
just the
Miles,
credits.
for her, big
So
thank
skipping
me
past
and-
the credits where I talk about everyone. The end of the video, I originally wanted me and Moxie to have a longer conversation about, you know, Pac-Man's and Sonic's games and crossovers and stuff.
Boy, it's
but
been
all
a
we got
great
was
year
this
for
part.
both of us.
Sure has been. You being in my game and me being in yours with the crossover, it's been a pretty big year for the both of us, I'd say.
Oh yeah, and just to think, Repack 3 could be on the horizon. Oh, that reminds me. When are your adventure games getting remade?
Well, sooner than you think. It's just gonna take a minute, but you know, how's Miss Pac-Man doing?
Oh, forget I asked. Let's, Hey, waiter, 3 more, please.
That wasn't too bad.
That wasn't too bad.
I'm so tired.
I don't blame you.
I feel bad for overworking it like this.
Nah, it's fine.
You know, I'm not gonna lie though, it would be great if we actually got some adventure remakes though. I know Sega's all like, Sonic Team's like, oh, we're about moving forward, guys. But it's like, you know, moving forward is part of having a good past is part of moving forward, you know. Oh,
Yeah.
there goes the glass. It's like we can't expect Pac-Man to move forward if like they don't bring his stuff to modern systems and whatever.
Yeah. I feel like to move forward, you got to do at least one thing from the past again, because you got to
Exactly.
know if people like that.
Well, I mean, everyone
Like,
loves the
wouldn't it make
adventure
more
game.
sense to? It would make more sense to bring back something old so you know how to move forward for next time.
Oh, definitely, because then they get a lot of fan feedback and yada yada. I mean, the reality is,
Yeah.
the way the Sonic fan base is, no one would be happy with an adventure remake, but it's like everyone would be happy, but everyone would not be happy, if that makes sense. Because then you got everyone that would be nitpicking the model. You got because imagine a modern version of the adventure model, you know? People would go insane. Like, people would be like, oh, this is awesome. Then you got other people that would be like, oh, this is insane. I can't believe they would get away with doing something like this. And, yeah, no, it's just wild to me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just like...
think.
Oh, good.
I think realistically, they'd probably just use like the modern model, though. As much as I hate to say it.
Oh my god, no! People would riot in the streets over that. Oh no!
No, they definitely would. But like, I think realistically, that's probably what they do, and I wouldn't like it either.
Because I guess Sega internally counts modern Sonic as one Sonic, and any iteration of him beforehand was just a model to progress towards where we are today. Which is a really dumb thought, but I kind of get where they're going at. You know, it's like, it's almost like saying, this is how we always envisioned the character, you know? The model, like, you know, it's almost saying, like, this is the pinnacle of how we always envisioned him. Which is very weird, but, you know.
It's kind of funny when you consider Dreamcast Sonic was going to be a third Sonic in Generations until they realized that having 3 would get too confusing.
Yeah. Oh, man, but that would have been sick, though. The adventure gameplay style added, that would have been sick.
And yeah, that's the end of the video. So I believe so what we originally wanted to do towards the end of the video was we had a section where me and Moxie were like dancing on the stage back there and everything. And you know, since this is the extended cut, what I'll do is that I'll take those segments and kind of throw them here in post.
Watch me do that little dance the boss does from Smiling Friends, the hee diddly. Bakamita, something I don't know the rest of the song, but it's pretty good and very exhausting. I hope everything went right. It looks like it did so far, though. Man, I forgot about that bit with Dorkly Sonic from earlier. That was funny. Oh well.
Actually, whoa!
Huh. Neat. Huh?
Huh?
Oh, what's this? All goose costumes. Oh, that's just something else. Oh my god. The scene from SpongeBob with the tomato. Oh, wait. We'll both be back here. And the crowd cheers for Pac-Man, then everyone boos for Sonic. Oh my goodness. Alright, good.
Alright.
Just like do, yeah, and then come back. Ta-da! I don't know, do a dance out there or something. Well, yeah, check out these moves. This is killing me. All right, now just stick your arm out. Hey, hold on. Try again, but like a little bit more careful. Now you're still clipping out. Hold on. Oops. Wow, this is harder than I thought it was, B. All right. I managed to get one arm sticking out. Okay. Now see how you can position yourself. And then, like, turn sideways. Perfect. That's all you need. All right. So pull it back in, and then I'll let you go first. Go ahead. All right, pull it back. Pull it back. Can't really stick your foot out. Oh, well, that's pretty good. All right. I think that's it. We can both come out. I'm out. Well, that was fun.
But if you're watching this video, you probably have access to the uncut footage of us recording everything. So I also say, you know, watch that too. You could kind of watch this in conjunction. You could watch the all the uncut footage of us recording in VR chat, and then you could also watch this for kind of like context. But that pretty much sums it up. I will say though, thank you very much for watching this if you have. I know stuff like this is a little long, a little campy, but for those that do like seeing, I guess, what goes on into my mind when I make a video, this is pretty much it. Let me see what else. I'm trying to see if there's anything else in this video I specifically wanted to point out, or if there's any other like final thoughts that maybe I didn't bring up in my initial video. But no, I think it holds up. I think it's fun. I think it's worth the wait. You know, I never expected Sonic and Pac-Man to have something like this, but the fact that we finally got it means a lot to me. Now the question is, like, you know, are we going to get something a little more substantial in the future, or is this kind of it? Then again, I would also like to see why Sonic and Pac-Man crossover. I mean, I know they've been doing it in a while. I said in the video, but it's like, you know, let's be real, companies don't do stuff unless there's a financial incentive. Was there some sort of like statistic that showed that like Sonic fans and Pac-Man fans like are a good crossover and that it's profitable? I find that to be quite interesting. I would love to see whatever data and analytics are like they have on people about that. At least I feel like I'm one of the few people that's like a very hardcore Sonic and Pac-Man fan, so you know, I was happy with this either way. But I guess let me know, what did you think of the Sonic Pac-Man collab? You think it was worth it? You think it was kind of dry? Like, yes, I do think at the end of the day they could have done more, but at the same time, this was still more than what I initially expected, if that makes sense. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Stay foxy, people, and I will see you all next time.